Hang on. The military has stormed into the Garden of Eden. British terror recruiter Sally Jones, who once told of her desire to behead Christians, lived on church handouts in the United Kingdom. The latest Planned Parenthood video to surface includes a graphic description of how to cut through the face of a baby boy so that his brain can be extracted intact. And our Iranian peace partners are proudly proclaiming that Israel, quote, must be obliterated. My name is Howard Real, and this is Real Truth. You're listening to the American Freedom Network, streaming live around the world at AmericanNewsNet.com, and on Facebook, and on YouTube, and on Tumblr, and in the book, Real Truth, Stay Angry, and of course, as always, broadcasting out across the Colorado Front Range on KHNC, Johnstown, Colorado, 1360 AM, The Lion. The call-in number is 877-254-7524. My friends, lots to do, not a moment to waste. Item from Western journalism. Republican presidential candidate Ben Carson said in an interview on Fox News that he, quote, couldn't find a single person in Israel who felt the Obama administration hasn't turned their back on Israel. Appearing on Fox News Sunday this past weekend, Carson was asked by host Chris Wallace to explain his criticism of President Obama and the Iran deal. Quote, well, all you have to do, Chris, is I have to go to Israel and talk to the average people on all ends of that spectrum. I couldn't find a single person there who didn't feel this administration had turned their back on Israel. Unquote. My friends, I can explain that for you if you like. It's because this administration has turned its back on Israel. Item from Haaretz. In a letter to Congress, 340 U.S. rabbis from the major streams of Judaism expressed support for the Iran nuclear deal. Stop. My friends, I will not dirty my mouth by talking about these 340 fools who refer to themselves as rabbis. Rabbis, they are not. Rabbis, they are not. Item from the Religion of Peace. British terror recruiter Sally Jones, who once told of her desire to behead Christians, lived on church handouts in the UK before she fled Britain to join the so-called Islamic State. The mother of two from Chatham in Kent was handed grocery parcels from a church-run food bank in Borough Green near Sevenoaks, just weeks before joining the bloodthirsty terror group with her 10-year-old son, Jojo. The 45-year-old is married to fellow ISIS recruiter and computer hacker Junaid Hussain, 21, from Birmingham, with the pair dubbed Mr. and Mrs. Terror. Jones once told of her desire to behead Christians with a, quote, blunt knife after arriving in a war-torn Syria in 2013 at the same time as Hussain, with the pair having fled Britain to join the depraved ISIS terror group. It has now emerged the former punk was receiving handouts at the Church of the Good Shepherd in early 2013 and continued to receive support even when she converted to Islam around May of that year, according to the Sunday Times. Earlier this week, it is revealed Jones had told undercover reporters that she had recruited a female terrorist who's currently in Glasgow, Scotland, and primed to launch a terror catastrophic attack. During online conversations, Jones, who has changed her name to Hussein al-Brittani after marrying, encouraged undercover investigators who were posing as jihadists to conduct atrocities in the UK and sent them guidebooks on how to make bombs. Unquote. My friends, I am grateful to this piece of garbage because she is illustrative of a larger trend. Muslims come to a Western country or they convert in a Western country. They use whatever that country will give them, whether it's welfare, whether it's food stamps, whether it's the good auspices of a house of worship, and then they will plunge a dagger into that country, into that house of worship, into that organization. They feel no gratitude, no sympathy, none of the human emotions that you and I do because the Quran squashes that. It deadens it and replaces it with violence, which is why we need to get the hell rid of Islam. Item from the Winnipeg Sun. A Winnipeg man who allegedly assaulted his wife in front of police and told an officer he could do what he wants with, quote, his property, is now fighting a bail order banning him from having any contact with the woman. Quote, Even if her wish was to have contact with the accused, the Crown would be strongly opposed to any variation of the bail, said Crown Attorney Vuk Mitrovic in court. In the presence of police, the accused, quote, was undeterred in committing an assault on his wife, Mitrovic said. The attitude he demonstrated should cause the court grave concern about the safety and protection of the public. The accused, who's not being identified to protect the identity of the alleged victim, was arrested June 24 after police responded to a 911 call from his family's Lorne Avenue apartment. The man has filed a motion to remove a bail condition prohibiting from living with his wife and 9 children, pending resolution of his charges. I've been away from my home and my family for over a month, the man told court through an interpreter. This is a problem, according to my faith, to be away from my family, unquote. My friends, I am also indebted to this piece of filth for teaching us even more about Islam. Muslims have a right to beat their women, which makes you wonder about the sanity and the intelligence of Muslim women. They have the right to beat their women. They don't apologize in the face of authority from the West. They don't make excuses. They don't seek to hide. They don't try and cover up. They're proud to proclaim that women are less than human, and if they want to punch and kick them, they can. Well, that's fine. They can do what they want as long as they're doing it on the other side of the planet. Item from the Blaze. A new video out of Iran presents the imagined scenario of Jerusalem being conquered by a military alliance of the country's Revolutionary Guard forces and Hezbollah and Hamas terrorists, a Jewish news site reported Tuesday. Quoting the Middle East terrorism research organization, the Investigative Project, the Algemeiner reported the video was released 2 weeks ago after the Iran deal was announced. The video shows the fighters preparing for battle with their gear, headbands, shoes, and weapons, then descending on Jerusalem. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has repeatedly pointed to Iran's continued sponsorship of international terror groups, including Hezbollah, and its dedication to destroying Israel as the 2 reasons it believes the deal is dangerous for Israel. The animated video shows the soldiers approaching Jerusalem with the iconic yellow Dome of the Rock situated on the Temple Mount, the holiest site in Judaism. At the end, Persian script appears saying, quote, Israel must be obliterated or literally erased from the annals of history, and the youth will definitely see that day when it comes, unquote. My friends, we have put our faith stupidly in Iran, which is not ceasing to head for nuclear weapons, promising to destroy Israel, and venting at the West at every opportunity. Wouldn't it be a lot better simply to destroy Iran and move on? You bet your ass it would. We'll be right back with more Real Truth.
Hey folks, have you ever thought about having your own backyard chicken? Now you have a source of certified organic, no GMO, no steroid chicken feed. Happy Hens and even deliver, or you can pick up. Call me, Tim, at 303-829-5948. Or go to happyhens.biz for pricing and ingredients. At happyhens.biz, we love Happy Hens. Or call us at 303-829-5948.
Guys, I got some good stuff for you today. As indeed every day. Now, next week we're going to have our 7th anniversary show. I'm not going to tell you what's going to be going on, but something's going to be going on. Donald Trump, Sean Hannity, Fox News, The Interview. Listen.
I won the debate. I love doing it in a certain way. I will say this for the last time. I don't think I was treated fairly, but these are minor details. I really had a good time doing it. It was very interesting. I've never done a debate before like that. My life has been a debate, but I've never done officially a debate.
Okay. Hang on, guys. I'm going to make this work. I promise I'm going to make this work.
Why do so many people choose
okay. We're going to have to wait for it to work. Hang on. Here we go. It's coming at you. Back to Donald Trump.
I've never done officially a debate. And it was really great. I got to know the candidates, and I got to like some of them a lot. I think they're terrific people, and others probably not as much, but that's the way life goes.
You seem to be defying political gravity, if you will. A lot of people predicted after the immigration comment, oh, that's the end of Donald Trump, or the McCain comment, or any of the controversies, and the opposite happens. The polls go up, they don't go down. How do you explain that?
Well, if you look at the immigration, it was illegal immigration, and that was my comment, and the media really covered me incorrectly. They talked about Mexican, they almost made things up. But my real comment was illegal immigration, and that turned out to be a big factor. And then you had, sadly, the killing of Kate in San Francisco, which was horrendous, with somebody that came into the country not once but 5 times.
Illegally.
Illegally, totally illegally. And just last night and yesterday you had a horrible killing where, that same thing with the illegal, where a 66-year-old woman who was raped from the military, who was raped and beaten and tortured by this animal, and all of a sudden, people are seeing these horrible crimes that are being committed by
642,000 crimes in Texas alone since 2008.
And that whole issue, I don't think you'd even be discussing it right now if it wasn't for me. So people realize I was right, and people that you would never think called me and apologized for what they said. So that worked out. I mean, unfortunately, that they haven't solved the problem. But in terms of myself, people said he called it right. The McCain, I equate that with events, because John McCain and the establishment in Washington has treated the vets so badly. 2 weeks ago on Wednesday, they had the longest wait in the history of the Veterans Administration. If you're waiting for a doctor, they waited for a longer period of time. And I'm talking about days. You go to a doctor, you wait for 20 minutes, you're upset, right?
Right.
They're waiting days and days, sometimes 6 days, 7 days. In one case, they waited 5 days, and when we finally got to a doctor, he said, I'm sorry, I'm going on vacation now. We can't let this happen to the vets. And I put John McCain with the vets because he's been, one of the people in charge, and he's done a very poor job. And the last incident we won't even discuss, but I think that I didn't say anything wrong.
Let me ask you, you keep talking about leverage as it relates to the third party issue.
Yeah.
Let's assume you're treated fairly in the process. You didn't win the nomination. At that point, you would support the Republican candidate.
That's true. That's true. Now, I'd also like to see a candidate that I like and that I respect and that I agree with, okay? I'd never go to the other side.
Who are the people you respect?
Well, I don't want to go into that because I'm running against them. And frankly, the ones that I most respect, in certain cases, they have a little bit of a chance. I don't think a great chance because their poll numbers aren't so great right now. But I do respect numerous of the candidates. And actually, some I've gotten to know, and, I like them and I respect them.
Hillary said your comments about women were offensive. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I think I'll do more for women. I cherish women. I think I'll do more for women than Hillary can ever do. I think that I will take care. I thought Jeb Bush made a horrible mistake when he blew the whole situation on women's health, the women's health issue. A week ago, what he said was just unbelievable. Essentially, he's saying, I'm not going to fund it. And I think that will go down as Jeb Bush's 47%. The 47% to Romney were probably cost him the election when he said that. He didn't know he was saying it. There was a mistake, and it was too bad, but that probably cost him the election. I think Jeb's statement on women's health from a few days ago will go down and says 47%. I don't think you can recover from a mistake. But then he goes back and he says he misspoke. Well, it was pretty late.
Let me ask you this. Hillary Clinton, her husband, has had all these problems with women. She hasn't said a word. If it's you versus Hillary, is that fair game, that issue?
I guess it is. Look, he would have had a much different presidency if he didn't have Monica and all of these things that happened during his...
Well, there was more than Monica. It was Kathleen Willey,
Oh,
Paula
no,
Jones,
it's
it was Juanita Broderick. And
So I guess it is. If anything, they probably won't be doing too much talking about it, but certainly it's fair game. I guess anything's fair game. If what I said the other day is fair game, and I said nothing wrong, I didn't even conclude the sentence, and, they're just sort of... I said you have to be deviant to take what I said and put it into that.
Let me move to this, though. The Clinton Foundation, of which Hillary's a part, they took money from countries like the UAE, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia. Women can't even drive.
Right.
I can't find a comment where she's been critical of Saudi Arabia. If she's going to say your comments are outrageous, what do you say back about her taking the money from a country that treats women horribly?
I understand it, and you know what? If you can take the money from even countries that treat horribly, in all fairness, I'm not defending anything. It just took money from me, too. I gave money also to the Clinton Foundation, and I did it because I'm a businessman. And I want to have access. I need access. Don't forget, John, until 3 months ago, I was a world-class businessman. I built a great company, some of the most iconic assets in the world, 10 billion of net worth, more than 10 billion of net worth, and frankly, I had a great time doing it, and I wouldn't mind continuing, except they see the country going so badly, and the only reason I even mention that now is that's the kind of thinking, whether it's good or bad or whatever it is, but that's the kind of thinking that the country needs. We owe $19 trillion, going up rapidly. We have a country that's in collapse. We're going to have a problem like you've never seen. Once we get over that $21, $22 trillion mark, we're going to have a problem. And I'm really good at that stuff. And I know my competition, and they're not good at it. They wouldn't have a clue.
But do you think that the Clinton Foundation, when Hillary takes money from Saudi Arabia or these countries that treat women horribly, and then she's going to lecture you on comments you make about women, is that hypocrisy?
I think it probably turned out to be maybe not the right thing. Now, if you took that money, look, in all defense of her in this case, if she took that money and used it really for the good, but a lot of that money was used on private transportation.
Did they buy her silence? In other words, she hasn't been critical of them. She took the money for the foundation.
Well, you had not only that, how about the speeches, where you get millions and millions of dollars for speeches for companies, and some of these companies are not companies that really have the good of the United States at hand. So you can go outside of the foundation. I mean, to me, I look at the speech money, certainly the foundation money. Now, the foundation money is interesting because a lot of that money was used on private jet fare. That's a lot of money.
A lot of money per hour.
Yeah, I mean, private jets cost a lot of money. But when you look at the speeches and you add that to the foundations, and there's no question in my mind that certain of those things led to absolute approvals on other things, because she was Secretary of State. So that gets to be a very dangerous business. And then now you add the email scandal, because to me the email scandal is, hey, General Petraeus, for doing a tiny fraction of what she did, his life is destroyed. He's been ruined.
They found 4 classified emails. She said there weren't any, and that's only out of 40, and there's 60,000 emails total. Do you think she committed a crime?
I think she committed a crime. The problem that let's say everybody has in terms of finding out, you have Democrats are all the prosecutors, and they don't want to prosecute it. Did she commit a crime? Yes. Will they prosecute it? Perhaps no.
You were stunningly honest when you said, I give Hillary money, I know she'll take my call. Or Nancy Pelosi, I give her money, I'll take my call.
As a businessman.
So when the Saudis give her money, and all these other countries gave money,
yeah,
were they buying access to her?
Absolutely. There's no question about it. They were buying access.
So our system's really corrupt.
It's a bad thing. And I say that all the time. I say, hey, nobody knows the system better than I do. Because I was on the other side of the system at the highest level. And people would come up, senators, speakers. I had people come up to my office, the biggest people in the world, and they'd say, money. Now, let me put it differently, and I discussed this with you before. I'd say, absolutely. I'm a businessman. I'm a Republican, I'm a conservative, but I'm a businessman. Let's say I say, no, I'm not going to give you anything. Congratulations, you're doing a wonderful job. The answer is no. Now, 2 years later, I go up to see them in Washington, and I need an approval for something. They're not going to give me the approval. And let me tell you something. That's a corrupt system. That's a bad system. When that happens, that's a bad system. When Jeb Bush raises $114 million, which he has, when Hillary raises $60 million, what she has. I know the people that gave him the money. These are not the nicest people. The system is at its root corrupt. Well, Jeb Bush is totally controlled by the people that gave him that money. And the nice part about me, I don't want anybody's money.
You have $345 million in liquid assets. Are you prepared to spend that much money?
Sure.
Or more?
Well, you saw my income. My income's $400 million
But he's
a year.
prepared to spend it.
Sure, I would spend it if I'm doing well. If I was in a position like, let's say, Senator, I mean, look, I don't want to use names because I don't want to embarrass anybody, but the two guys, you know what's interesting? Lindsey Graham hit me harder than anybody. He's got 0. Perry hit me harder than anybody. Those were the two. And Perry was at 4 or 5, and he went down to 2 and went down to nothing, and now I guess he's out of the campaign. I think he's a nice guy, actually. I think he's just doing it. But what was interesting is the two people that hit me really hard. I mean, Perry went to Washington to make a speech about me. It wasn't nice, okay? I mean, it wasn't a nice speech. And he went from 4 or 5 down to 2 and didn't even make the debate stage. Lindsey Graham was at 2, and he went to nothing. So I'm really very honored by that.
And coming up, Donald Trump will explain how he will get Mexico.
All right, guys, that's enough. If you want to go to YouTube, you'll find the Donald Trump full interview on Hannity, August 11th. It's good stuff, and Hannity said it himself. Trump is very, very honest. He's very upfront. He speaks the truth, and man, oh man, do we need that in Washington. Item from the Chicago Tribune. Records show that the city of Chicago has earned $284.9 million in red light ticket fines since May 2011, when Mayor Rahm Emanuel took office. The Chicago Sun-Times reports the data, including the Freedom of Information Act request, showing that through July 31, the city has collected $33.2 million in red light camera revenue. That's about $4.7 million a month. Stop. My friends, the government exists to support the people, not the other way around. These red light ticket cameras are nothing more than gotcha. So here's some innocent putz, call him Howard Real, driving down the street, gets to a red light, looks both ways, keeps going, and the next thing you know, a ticket shows up in the mail. They've played gotcha. You've got money, the government wants it. My friends, it is nefarious and it's wrong. And it's a practice that needs to be phased out all across America. Item from the Free Thought Project, Dateline, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's entirely bad enough that heavily militarized police across the country are smashing down doors nearly every minute of every day in search of arbitrary substances deemed illegal by the state. However, the paramilitary apparatus which has sprung up in this modern-day police state is deadly incompetent. Case after case, we see SWAT teams kick down doors to homes, shoot dogs, throw grenades at babies, even kill innocent people because they're at the wrong house or acting on incorrect information. This gross, deadly negligence is inflicted upon the citizenry with extreme prejudice and unapologetically. The latest victim of incompetent police violence happens to live in Pittsburgh. Tabitha Workmeister, Greenwich, Dion Wilson, and their 4 young children, ages 2 through 9, were subject to violent, militarized men kicking in their door in a pre-dawn raid in January of last year. These armed men threw a smoke bomb into their home and forced the family, who was barefoot and in their pajamas, into the 20-degree snowy weather outside. Unquote. My friends, tell me, what's the difference between an attack like this and what the Nazis did in Germany in the 30s and 40s? Item from WorldNet Daily. The pushback started earlier this year in South Carolina, then spread to Minnesota, Idaho, and now North Dakota. Michigan and Ohio are also organizing against what local residents say is a sinister and sneaky federal program that almost never gets serious coverage from local media. It's the U.S. State Department's Refugee Resettlement Program, which has been humming along on autopilot since Congress passed the Refugee Act of 1980, signed by President Jimmy Carter. Since that time, more than 3 million refugees from third world countries have been permanently resettled in more than 190 American cities and towns. On the rare occasion that the program attracts national media attention, it almost always gets spun in a positive light, but activists say there's another side to the refugee program that's not being told. We'll be right back.
election, author of the New York Times bestseller Adios America, The Left's Plan to Turn the Country into a Third World Hellhole. Ann Coulter's with us. Also here, National Review writer Charles Cook. Guys, good to see you. And, funny line by Trump today about Joe Biden. He said, I think it'd be a great matchup, him against Biden. I have a great record. I'm a job producer. I haven't been involved in plagiarism. I think I'd not.
America's wild about update 2 to 5 on 13-1609.
An emergency preparedness plan for your home first pulled it on with Give a Bus, knowing how to store water safely, provide extreme temperature changes, provide reliable shelter, first aid and sanitation is critical.
Here to set me straight about this is Donald Trump. Oh, I'm sorry. I confuse you with him. Because you're both tall and blonde and obnoxious sometimes and say rude things.
First in the hearts of the people.
How does the left look?
Our system relies on sun to help make you self-reliant for your power needs. Solar energy can be stable to fit any situation, from company power independence to backup.
Here to set me.
Our expertise focuses on home power, and we have extensive.
Joining me now, Ann Coulter, author of the best-selling book Adios America, and from Washington GOP strategist Brad Blakeman, who worked in the George W. Joining me now.
We service everything we've done. We provide and design turnkey packages designed to support for
L'chaim. Yikes. All right, guys, welcome back. Howard Real. The show is still called Real Truth on almost 7 years. The 24th of this month will be 7 years. Mazel tov, right? Okay. Ann Coulter, Fox News, talking about immigration. I've been telling you for weeks, get her book, read it. You have to have a strong stomach to read it because a lot of stuff in there is going to turn your stomach as it did mine. But it's vital reading. Here's Ann Coulter being interviewed on Fox News, talking about Donald Trump, talking about immigration. The single most important issue facing this country, by the way, so give a listen.
Now, Ann Coulter, author of the best-selling book Adios America, and from Washington GOP strategist Brad Blakeman, who worked in the George W. Bush administration. Now, Ann, he seems to be the Teflon Don. Can he continue to defy political gravity?
As long as he keeps talking about immigration, how many different ways can voters say, stop immigration? They've done this for 30 years. That's what the 2014 election was about. And as for, conservatives coming to Washington and then selling out the base, well, Rand Paul did. He was totally for Marco Rubio's amnesty. It wasn't until his constituents ganged up on him and yelled at him that he finally withdrew, but then he said, no, he really supports it. He refers to illegal aliens as undocumented citizens. If they want to undermine Trump, take his issue. Please take it, Republicans. But they won't. I've never seen something where it is the business interests and the rich against the voters so much. And the voters keep saying, we don't want any more immigration. That's why Trump is so popular. So pick it up, Republicans.
Brett, so I've heard Trump is toast. I've heard Don Voyage. I keep hearing these statements after Donald Trump says something that, frankly, even establishment Republicans are offended by, but yet his polling seems to at least hold in there in some cases. It raises.
He's a very, very lucky person to date, but I don't think his luck can hold. And he's got to be more than a one-trick pony in immigration. Yeah, I agree with Ann. Republicans should take up that cause, but there's an awful lot that we know that Republican voters have on their mind, and a lot of it has to do
with the economy and keeping America safe. And Donald Trump hasn't told us enough about that. But let me say this. In 2008, when we had an open seat for the presidency, less than 15% of registered Republicans participated. So you know what primaries and caucuses are all about? They're not about popularity contests. They're about moving people to the polls. And so far, Trump has existed on earned media without organization. That cannot last.
Why not? And can it last?
Well, could we take the two issues that Brad just mentioned, the economy and national security? Okay, how about stop dumping 30 million poverty-stricken people on America to take low-wage jobs? Yeah, that's fantastic for Mark Zuckerman with all of his H-1B visas. It's great for businesses who get all the cheap labor. It's fantastic for the Democratic Party. You know who it's really bad for? Low-wage American workers, and they've had it. Have you seen the black teenage unemployment rate? Well, who's taking those jobs? Immigrants, both legal and illegal, are taking these jobs. All these alleged job gains, they're all going to immigrants. Study after study has shown that. Let's take national security. The one interesting moment of the debate, other than every time Donald Trump was speaking, was the fight between Chris Christie and Rand Paul about whether we're going to spy on Americans or need a warrant first. Well, here's an idea. Stop bringing in Americans like Mohammed Abdulaziz, who shot up Chattanooga, like the immigrants who bombed the Boston Marathon, like the one that caused Rand Paul to filibuster for 13 hours, American Anwar al-Awlaki. So don't make terrorist citizens through immigration, and we'll have a lot less of a national security problem.
And also, bro, let me add this. There are a lot of people saying Donald Trump doesn't come with specifics. I've heard him talk about ISIS, how he would deal with ISIS. I heard him say he would put boots on the ground. Now, frankly, I think Donald Trump resonates with a lot of people. I would disagree with that policy, but nonetheless, it's a policy, and he's put it out there. He's also very clear on his trade policy. He says, fight China hard, fight Mexico hard. These are policy initiatives, yet no one seems to be hearing those.
No, these are statements. They're not policies. And here's the difference.
I'll tell you the difference, my friends. This guy, Bradley Blakeman, former George W. Bush administration official, he belongs to the machine. He is owned by the machine. And so when Donald Trump says something that makes all the sense in the world, he will view it as something other than originating from the machine, and so it's bad. What's coming from the machine room? Nothing. Same old. Same old, same old. Kick the can down the road, do nothing, promise everything, do nothing. That's the machine, and that's what this jackass is giving us. As opposed to what Ann Coulter is saying is correct about Donald Trump. He's coming with solutions. And instead of saying, yeah, we finally got a candidate with real solutions who can get elected, this guy's here defending the interests of the political machine, the Republican Party. It's a sad day. Let's continue.
Behind the curtain of Donald Trump.
All right, this guy is too much of a horse's ass. I'm taking him off the air. Know this, my friends. Before you know anything else, know this. The political machinery, meaning the Democrat and the Republican Party, and the major media, all against Donald Trump. Why? Because the political parties and the major media work hand in glove to pull the wool over our eyes. They're loading up their pockets. They're increasing their power at the expense of the average American. Donald Trump comes along and says, wait a minute, that's not how America's supposed to run. And then he tells us exactly what he's going to do. And sure enough, lo and behold, it's exactly what needs to be done. So all the political cannons and all the media are against Trump. These are the people who've got their hands in your pockets. These are the people who are stealing the future from your children and grandchildren. It's time to bust up the political parties. It's time to bust up this liberal corporatist media and give the government back to the people. Can it be done? Yeah. You and I have to get off our asses and see to it that someone gets elected and then later supported who's looking after our interests. Item. From the Free Thought Project, Dateline, Arlington, Texas. In an effort to protect citizens of Texas, a massive military-style raid was conducted on the Garden of Eden Organic Farm and Commune. On August 2nd, 2013, nearly 24 heavily armed SWAT officers stormed this peaceful farm in search of a plant. They found lots of plants, but much to their dismay, they did not find the plant they were looking for. Countless tax dollars and months of half-cocked planning went down the drain that day after it was discovered the police incompetence had led these troops into a battle in which there can be no victor. In the days leading up to this asinine military assault on a peaceful commune, the ineptitude of the Arlington Police Department was oozing from the scenes. Unquote. My friends, I have not followed up on the story, but I want to know, did any of the geniuses behind this outrage get fired? And if not, why not? Item from RasmussenReports.com. As far as voters are concerned, and not just Republicans, Donald Trump has a winning formula for fighting illegal immigration. The latest Rasmussen Reports National Telephone Survey finds that 70% of likely Republican voters agree with the GOP presidential hopeful that the United States should build a wall along the Mexican border and help stop illegal immigration. 17% of GOP voters disagree, while 13% are undecided. 92% of Republicans agree the U.S. should deport all illegal immigrants who've been convicted of a felony in this country. Only 4% disagree. Unquote. My friends, here's what we do in addition to that. Trump hasn't said it, but I'll say it. We put the screws big time to the government of Mexico. We make them wince until they stop people on their side of the border from coming here. We'll be back.
It's nothing more than a shot in the dark. If you're taking supplements and all these health programs, that's an accurate scientific evaluation of yourself. From the comfort of your home or office, people with personal medical expert Eileen Durkee, a Dr. Wilson health practitioner, scientifically evaluate your current health and provide you a personalized program and wonderful products. Get real results, get nutritional balancing, and go healthy next.com. Call 866-463-4533. That's 866-463-4533. Solar energy can be stable to fit any situation, from company power independence to backup power with the short term. Our expertise focuses on standalone power, but we have extensive experience with utility interactive systems as well. Custom capabilities, honest and emergency lighting, all the way to commercial scale power. Great Thanks Power is a full service company. We service everything we sell. We provide and design turnkey packages, custom design systems, and parts for do-it-yourself. With more than 20 years of specialized experience at your disposal, let us know what your power concerns or goals are. Reach us by phone or the internet. Call 303-239-9963. That's 303-239-9963. Or go to GreatPlaceSolar.com. The Lord brings the counsel of the nations to nothing. He makes the plans of the people of nothing. The counsel of the Lord stands forever, the plans of his heart to all generations. Blessed is the nation whose God is holy. The people he has chosen as his own inheritance. Psalm 33, verses 10 through 12.
Guys, welcome back to Real Truth. This just came over the AP wire. This is from Vienna. Listen to this. Iran will be allowed to use its own inspectors to investigate a site it's been accused of using to develop nuclear arms, operating under a secret agreement with the UN agency that normally carries out such work, according to a document seen by the Associated Press. So the Iranians are lying dogs. They're aggressive jihadists. They fund terror all over the world. They're building a nuclear arsenal. Make no bones about the fact that they want to fry human beings in Israel and America. And Barack Obama is allowing them to inspect their own facilities. My friends, if that's not treason, then you're going to have to tell me what is. Speaking of Obama and treason, I've got a video for you here. This is retired four-star admiral talking at the National Press Club, and you'll find this on my Facebook page, about how the Muslim Brotherhood has infiltrated our national security apparatus. Here we go.